Hello, Rowland again. I want to continue our discussion with one of the topics that we've been talking about in the past previous, shall we say, presentations here, and about the early leaders of Jasper, Alabama, and Walker County. And the individual I wish to discuss today, and one we've talked about a couple of times, I've talked about a couple of times in earlier presentations, is that of Moses Camak. Moses Camak was a physician in Jasper, Walker County. He was a businessman. He was an elected official in Walker County. The individual Moses Camak was born in 1812 in Fairfield County, South Carolina, and his family moved into Alabama. I'll tell you more about that in just a second here. Around the 1830s, finally moved into Jasper, Alabama, somewhere around the year 1835. And anyway, so let's go to my documents camera here, and I want to show you the presentation here. I like to write this out for you. I think you can understand it better. And as I said a few minutes ago, he was a physician, a businessman, a public official. He was born on 16th of January, 1812, and would die in Jasper, Alabama at the age of 61 on 6th of June, 1873. His parents were James and Nancy Hutchinson Camak. And as I said, they were from South Carolina, and they moved to Greene County. That's where Hell County, Alabama is. And around the year 1835, they moved to Jasper. All right, now I want to show you a photograph here of Moses Camak. And you can find this photograph if you care to do so, going into the probate judge's office down at the courthouse annex. Look on the wall there, and you'll see he and all the other probate judges in Walker County, their photographs are up on the wall. If you go to the Jasper Memorial Cemetery, which is up at the 4th Avenue area, next to the Baptist Church, next to the Presbyterian Church, you can find the Jasper Memorial Cemetery. It's the old cemetery, and if you browse around long enough in there, you can find the burial site there to Moses Camak. This is the old tombstone here. It's kind of hidden away by the new tombstone today. Notice we have a Mason symbol, which is up here at the top there. Now that's the old grave marker, and this is the current one that has replaced the old one anyway. Actually, the old one lies behind it. And it tells you that he was a private in the Alabama militia in the Indian Wars. I can't substantiate that, but that's what's on the grave marker there, so I guess it's probably true. But anyway, let's go back to our documents camera here. And like I said, his parents were James and Nancy Hutchinson Camak. Moved to Jasper in about 1835. And James and a man by the name of James Ryan opened up Jasper's first hotel, or is reported as being Jasper's first hotel. It was called Camak and Ryan Hotel. It was a two-story wooden structure. According to early Jasper records, it would house up to 150 people. Now, if you want to find where that site was, approximate site was today, go to 19th Street. This would be right close to where Town Creek passes under the bridge there. And if you know where Economy Cleaners is, and then if you'll move back to the west from Economy Cleaners, just across the road there's a place there called Jernigan's Health Care, and that was where the old location was, or approximate location here of the Camak and Ryan Hotel. All right, so let's move on down here. And for Moses Camak, he studied medicine. He was a prosperous businessman in Jasper, Alabama, and did very, very well. One of the things he was associated with, this was with his brother, Thomas, and he operated a grist mill. This grist mill, which was called Camak Mill, or sometimes you see it at Camak Mills, as Camak Mills, located on Blackwater Creek. Those of you that are familiar with the Musgrove Country Club, if you take the Country Club Road, and then where you turn to the right to go to Musgrove Country Club, if you go straight, there's a iron bridge there that you can no longer cross. It's closed to the public today. But right beneath that, right below that, was where Camak Mill was located. All right, but anyway, they made flour. That's what it was. All right, and that's they had a vast amount of property that was out in that area. And one of my next presentations will discuss part of that property too. And for Moses, he lost his wealth. A wealthy individual, he lost his wealth in a panic of 1837. Up until this time, during the times of 1828 to 1836 anyway, in the United States we had a rather prosperous flush time, as some people referred to it as. This was under the presidency of Andrew Jackson. But by the time we hit 1837, the country went into a depression. I used to tell my students about this, the Panic of 1837, which was the worst depression in the history of our country, to that date anyway. But for Moses, he worked very hard. By 1862, he had restored his wealth. 1862 is when the Civil War started. He restored his wealth. And incidentally, he was elected as probate judge of Walker County from 1862 to 1868. So what that means is that when the Northern troops passed through Jasper, Alabama in March and April of 1865, he was the probate judge at that time. All right, now we'll move on with this. He was married to Elizabeth Wells Camak. Some individuals will tell you that she is buried in the Jasper Memorial Cemetery, but I was not able to find her grave there, so apparently it is an unmarked grave. And for Elizabeth and Moses, they had 7 children. You had W.H. Camak, who was married to Fredonia Elliott, Sarah J. Camak, married to Wilson Shepherd, Amanda H. Camak, married to W.L. Sively, David H. Camak, married to Livonia Miller, Livonia Catherine Miller, Julia A. Camak, married to David Montgomery, who was the first superintendent of education in Walker County, incidentally, and he was also a Baptist minister. And Alice R. Camak, in the next presentation, I'll talk to you about her a little bit more. She was married to J.L. Craig, and then James N. Camak, and I believe his burial site is in Jasper Memorial Cemetery. You can find it there next to one of his relatives known as Newt Camak. Anyway, all right, so those are the individuals that's associated with Moses Camak, one of the early founders, of Jasper, a very prominent individual there. And I like the name, and if you study about early Jasper history, you'll sure see more on him. All right, thank you for your attention on this presentation, and hopefully you'll join me for another.